I, of course, grew up Protestant and strengthened the charismatic side of my faith the past 25 years or so, already being a pastor. And just recently, the Lord has been really speaking to me very powerfully about that element of the historical roots of the faith and the continuity as well. So I'm increasingly more appreciative of that dimension that I think we as Protestants have lost. We have thrown out the baby with the bathwater. I mean, the Reformation is born under such a cloud of conflict that we ended up just throwing away everything that had to do with the Catholic Church and the history and the heritage of the Church and so on. And we said, like, let's start right from the beginning, and lost precious pieces of our heritage. And I think one of the things is just that collective consciousness and that collective memory, that cumulative wealth of teaching that we have had for 2,000 years. And now, as a charismatic, I understand wonderfully the importance of the gifts and the power of the gifts of the Spirit. And also, having been through an evangelical stage in my life, I also understand the importance of, I think, things that evangelicals emphasize. To me, some of those things are about the Bible as the foundation and the point of reference for the faith, and sort of the normative framework within which we interpret even the experiences of the Spirit. I think a lot of Pentecostal churches have forgotten a bit that tension between the framework of the Word and the experiences of the Spirit. Sometimes they're not experiences of the Spirit. Sometimes they're emotional, sometimes they're just cultural, and really are deformations of the Pentecostal experience because they're not enough reference to the Bible and to the cumulative teachings, the theology of the Church. Right. And so you need that tension. But then the third element has been, this element of the Catholic, which I presume you also include the Orthodox faith as a whole, not just Catholic from Rome, but also
Catholic
Greek Orthodox, so on and so forth. And I become increasingly appreciative of my need to just explore more of that. And it's come to the point that now the church that I pastor, Congregation Lion of Judah, a Latino congregation here in Boston, we have started an Anglican church here with Father Sam Schutz and Father Brian Morelli. And we're, absolutely delighted, excited about the prospects of this. And, it hasn't been without a bit of tension, not a whole lot, among some of my Latino members who feel that any kind of clerical collar, already sends, alarms and red lights flashing all over the place. But it's been a really enriching process. And I'm excited about what God can do here in this area of the city, providing another entry point into the faith for very secular, very intellectually advanced individuals here in this area of the South End, who might not really resonate with our brand of Pentecostalism, but might be very open to a liturgical kind of iteration of the faith. So, in that sense, we're also embodying, and I myself am embodying, some of this ferment that you guys exemplify in such a powerful way about the seeking, to find that meeting ground between these various points. But you have had an interesting journey, Jürgen, because again, tell me a little about what leads you to,
in a way, it's related,
in a sense, to
it's
Catholicism.
a little bit conversion related to this vision. Fully Catholic, fully evangelical, fully charismatic, fully Catholic. And as I've struggled, what does it mean to be fully Catholic? In the complete sense of everything that word means, I've come to the conclusion that there is something I believe it was intended by Christ when he founded the church, that has to do with the nature of the church as one body, one organic historical community in history. I know Protestants tend to think the church is invisible, and there is an invisible quality, but I think Catholics also emphasize there's a visible, organic, continuing reality of the church in time that Christ intended. And it has something to do with Peter and the See of Peter. And of course, Protestants and Catholics interpret those scriptures very differently. But I've come to the conclusion that I need to be in relationship to Rome to be to come into the fullness, for me, of Christian faith. And it's very interesting that's what Benedict offered. It was an invitation on his part to welcome Anglicans, and through Anglicans, other Protestants, to come back to union with Rome, but not feeling you need to come as this prodigal son, crawling on your knees, and you were wandering in the pig slough for, the last 500 years, and now you're coming back to your father's house. Rather, and interesting, John Paul said this, so you read his encyclicals on Ut Unum Sint, which is Let They May Be One. Benedict has emphasized here, they have been appreciative of Protestantism and are now saying, Protestants, come back into the full communion with Rome, but bring your riches with you. And I think John Paul and Benedict, and I hope it'll continue with Francis, were prophetic giants for the unity of the church. And let's face it, whatever else you can say, that was Jesus' last prayer.
Totally.
We now, let's face it, I've been a Protestant, so I'll put back on my Protestant hat. I was a Protestant, and I was part of 20,000 different denominations, all claiming, most of them, to be the true church with the true interpretation. I think what Catholicism potentially offers Protestants and the gift of unity, and that's what the word Catholic means, this massive unity that's universal, I think is a gift to us, the same way our Charismatic Pentecostalism and our Evangelicalism, I think, are gifts to the Catholic Church.
Now, of course, that coming together and that generosity of spirit that says to, let's say in this case, Anglicans, come join us, is not without some potential problems as well. I mean, there's some rocky sailing.
That's right. It's not make-believe, there are no differences.
As that institution,
either.
The Catholic Church has to now absorb that. I'm sure that being the theologians that, the Catholic popes are and Rome is, they will understand that there are some elements of finessing and kind of weaving that needs to be done in order to make that a truly harmonious coming together.
That's
because
right.
at some point, the reality of these theologies will start to impinge on each other. Yeah. And there's a lot of wonderful ground for communality, but then there's also potential points where it's going to need to be some.
Well, again, that's been wonderful since Vatican II. There have been these dialogue, ecumenic, official dialogues that the Catholic Church has done, including with Pentecostals, with Anglicans. Also, there's been some wonderful new work done. There's a group called the Evangelicals and Catholics Together, which has produced some extraordinary documents on things that tend to be a sticky battleground for Catholics and Protestants, like Mary, the issue of justification by faith, things like purgatory. So at least there's some really creative conversations going on that I think, you don't want to minimize. We don't want to water down Christianity, where everyone waters down to some lowest common denominator. I think true ecumenism is we bring the best of everything together.